Premier Heating and Air is now offering free home energy audits. Call Premier Heating and Air now at 478-300-2633 for your free home energy audit. Premier's professional technicians will inspect your vents and duct system for cleanliness, inspect your attic insulation, check your indoor air quality, evaluate moisture barriers, and more. Log on to dublin.premierishere.com or call 478-300-2633 and experience a Premier difference today. Premier Heating and Air, a locally owned and operated company. Offer ends 2/29/24.
Always good to have a good source to get your meats from. I like to come get my stuff here from Piggly Wiggly and check out what they've got here. So when selecting a pork butt, you know, they've always got a pretty good selection, and I'm looking for that money muscle piece right here. So you have your bone here, the money muscle. This has two pretty good pieces of pork right here that you'll be able to do. But the great thing about having a local butcher like this is you can come here and have Nick. If you don't see what you like here, Nick will go in the back, check out what you need, and he'll custom cut, get whatever you need. So it's always great to have a butcher that's on your side to help you find your good meats. So with the sauces that we're doing here, we're going to run with the regular Sweet Baby Ray's and the sweet and spicy. It's always good to have a place that's got all the stuff that you need in one stop. So we're going to use the 2 bottles of each one of these and with a cup of honey. That's going to make our competition sauce. All right, guys, we're going to be right here. I like to run with apple juice in my injection, and as well as that, grab a pineapple juice. But there's all sorts of different selections here. They've got white grape juice, white grape peach juice, whatever kind of fruit juices you like. It's just you're trying to add a little bit extra into your pork butt flavor. Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Grilling with Gary. Today, with the competition season getting started, we are gonna do a basic introduction to competition pork. So competition pork, a lot of people that are new to the barbecue game don't realize that you don't just put pooled meat into a box. There's a little bit more to it than that, and I just want to show you guys some basics that you can use at home with regular ingredients that you get at the grocery store that will help you be the star of your backyard cook. So first, what we start off with is the pork butt, of course. Meat selection is pretty important. You see in this package that I have here, I have 1 large butt and 1 small butt. That really doesn't matter as much as what they call the money muscle. That is the piece of meat completely opposite of the bone. The bone of the pork is here. This side is the money muscle. And what you can see is there's a lot of striations and fat, ribbons of fat in that muscle. That is the most tender piece of meat on this butt. And that's what we really want to highlight whenever we're going to build a competition pork butt. So we'll go ahead and get into it here. I'm going to put this guy to the side. Okay. So first what I'm doing, I'm looking at this and I'm going to get an overall look at what this butt is. This is the money muscle, as I said. I'm going to try to highlight that piece. So when I come in here, I'm going to start trimming down and getting off some of this top meat here that's going to be in my way. So all I'm trying to do here is to find the fat line. There's a fat line right here in between the muscles here of the pork, and I am just trying to expose what I can of this because I'm wanting to get rub and bark all around on this piece of meat. As I'll show you later, it's going to be all about showcasing this piece when we put it in the box. It's the best piece here. That's what we want to make sure that we get in that box. So I'm going to come right through here, and just try to get all the fat I can right off the top of it. And really, what you're trying to do is to make it look kind of like a Pringles can. That's kind of the gist of what you're doing, a long cylinder type muscle, and that's the way we're trying to highlight it. And so we'll get this cleaned up a little bit. Here we go, just like this. And so I'm going to try to get all these little pieces of fat right here on the top of it off. And that will just make sure that my rub is going to stick to the butt good and not come off whenever we go to slice it later. So another thing that I'm trying to do when I'm trimming this up is I'm going to kind of square it up here. There are pieces here that, you know, we're not going to use this piece whenever it comes to the competition box. And so we're really just trying to shape it the best we can. And, you know, I'm going to take this off here so we can get us a little bit of the exposure to this meat around the bone. The meat around the bone is going to be a pretty good, going to have a lot of flavor to it. And so we're going to want to make sure that we have that to be able to put in our box. One of the secrets that I like to do that a lot of people don't know is I'm going to flip this over, and on this fat cap there is meat in the back. It's called the bacon. And so what I like to try to do is to trim this fat cap down in order to expose that, because I want to get rub on that, and if it's really good I want to use those pieces as little bark bites to go in my pork box. So it kind of sits it here in an angle and it goes down, and it doesn't go the entire length of the butt. But we definitely want to do that. This is really a delicious and tender part of the butt. And if you don't get some seasoning to it now, you're not really going to be able to get any flavor to it later. So we're just trying to get this thing just as competition ready as what we can. And you'll see the edge of this as it comes along. Yep, we got to the end there. We don't want to take all this fat off because you want to have some moisture that's going to be left in there. And so we're just getting right to this edge. Okay. That's looking good there. All right. So now that we've got this kind of trimmed up, and for the most part, it's good what we're going to go with it, we're going to use an injection for this pork butt. An injection is kind of like a brine, and what we try to use is like a fruit juice / salt and sugar mixture. And what that does is it adds moisture to the butt, and it also allows the butt to, a brine adds moisture and it helps it stay into the butt. So with this injection recipe that I have, it's 1 cup of apple juice, 1 cup of pineapple juice, a cup of brown sugar, 1/8 of a cup of salt, regular table salt. We have 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, and then a tablespoon of dried mustard, and a teaspoon of accent, which is a flavor enhancer. And we warm those up on the oven till just hot enough so all the sugar and salt dissolves in there, and then we cool it back off. And so what I'm trying to do now is inject this into my money muscle here, and I'm going to inject it until I start seeing it puff up, and if it starts squirting out everywhere, then I know I've got enough in there. There's also other parts that we're going to try to get our injection into. But by and large, a lot of this pork butt we won't be using when we build the competition box, because one strategy that you always have to have is you only want to put the best pieces that you can into a box. So if a judge doesn't have it, they can't judge you on it. So you don't want to put anything that's less than perfect in your box ever. So directly behind where this money muscle is, I'm going to come in here and inject deep in there what they call the tubes. And I'm just trying to get a little bit of this brine down into that area. And I would say I probably use about 4 ounces per butt, maybe a little bit more. You know, each butt will be different, but if you see it squirting out all over the place, you probably have enough in there. Then I'm going to come around this bone and hit this, what they call the horn meat. And this will be our base layer for the box that we're going to build. So we're wanting to make sure that we get our flavor into there, because it is going to be used later. So now I'm going to go on with my rub. We use our all-purpose barbecue rub here, but whatever rub that you like, it's be fine. You know, you can use whatever one that you like. Just ours is a pretty good, all balanced. It has sugar, salt, and a lot of the flavors that you're trying to get in there. And I want to put a nice even coat on this butt. So I'm going to make sure I get the sides, I want to get the top, the back, any pieces that I'm going to use to put in this box. I'm definitely going to try to get rub on there to make sure it all covers good. So, and you know, I'm going what I would call a medium layer of rub. This is not super heavy, because one thing that I want to do is I don't want the rub to coat so thick that I can't see the meat whenever we build the box. So that's what we're trying to do, is just get a nice even coat, medium coat I would call it. All right. And then once we get it injected, we put it in a pan. And I usually like to let it sit in there in the injection for about 2 to 3 hours. With the pineapple juice in there, it's going to break down the meat a bit. So if you leave it too long, you run the risk of making it too tender. I know that sounds crazy, but you really don't want to have a mushy piece of barbecue whenever you're doing it. So, and one other thing, whenever you're doing it, always reserve some of your injection that you make for later in the cook. I'll show you how we're going to use that whenever we finish the pork butt up, because competition barbecue is about how you finish and doing little tricks that can help you in the end.
The weather's a little cool, but the deals are hot here at Dublin Nissan. With our highest inventory in years, now's the time to get a great deal at Dublin Nissan. You can save on your price, at the pump, and even more on a Nissan EV. Call or click mydublinnissan.com.
Hi, I'm Michael Wheelis with Dublin Piggly Wiggly, inviting you to come in and shop with us today. We've got a great lineup of produce, groceries, and fresh meats, including pork, beef, and chicken. Come shop with us today, where we cut fresh every day. Don't forget, our butchers are always ready for any special cuts. Call ahead and we'll be glad to get it ready for you today. Dublin Piggly Wiggly, your authorized certified Angus beef dealer.
All right, y'all, we're using a pellet grill right here. And pellet grills are great, versatile grills to do all sorts of things. If you want to grill with high heat, or if you want to smoke, it really does good. But one of the drawbacks to having a pellet grill is it doesn't impart nearly as much smoke flavor as what one would normally like to have. So I have a little trick for you to be able to do that. Okay, if you turn your grill down to the lowest setting, this one is low, which is about 180 degrees. It smokes more. So what you're trying to do here is, what I like to do is, for the first probably 2 to 3 hours that I have the butt in the grill, I have it on this lowest setting so it's smoking. And as you see, we've got one in here that's about ready to wrap, and it has really taken a great color on it, you know, from the smoking. And so that's one of the tricks that a lot of people think that, hey, if you put it in at 325 at the beginning, you're not going to be able to get as much smoke flavor on it as what you want. So that's just a little tip that helps you get a little more smoke into the butt. So I like to wrap my pork butt once it gets to a good color. And so, oh, look at the juicy coming out of there already. Just great. So this has a great color on it right now. It's ready to wrap. So I'm gonna bring it over here and let's go ahead and get it back into our wrap sequence. All right, guys, we're ready to wrap here. Like I said, we have a great pork butt here. Our injection has a saltiness to it, and so pork really lends itself good to salt. So now I'm gonna add a layer of sweet to it, because here's what I'm trying to do when I cook good barbecue, right? I want a little bit of sweet, a little bit of heat, a little bit of smoke, and a little bit of meat. And if I can balance all of those, I'm gonna have a great piece of barbecue. So right now, what I'm gonna do is I have some sweet cream salted butter, and I'm gonna cut a couple of dollops here and put them on the butt and kind of just strategically place them. They're gonna melt on here and it'll get melted in, and it's gonna help braise this butt. So about half a stick of butt per butt right there. Then I have a clover honey, a nice clover honey here. I'm gonna put this on and it's gonna sweeten up this bark. And the thing about competition barbecue, if I'm doing this at home, I may not would have this because I don't really care for that sweet of a barbecue. But if you're cooking for a competition, you're trying to appeal to the judges and not just yourself. So, you know, that's why we do that there. So then once I have that in, I'm gonna get a little bit of brown sugar here. And I'm just gonna put a light coating on the top. I guess it's a little heavier than a light coating, but it'll melt in there. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna help flavor our pork au jus, because we're gonna save all the juice that comes out of this pork butt. So when we finish, it's all gonna go into our box. So we're trying to make sure that we get it all together and balanced out. So once I do that, then I'm gonna come and do probably about 2 to 4 ounces of apple juice into here. And all that's gonna do is it's just gonna add a little bit of extra moisture and a little extra layer of sweetness. So once I have that done, I'm gonna get my foil and I am going to press it around the butt here, almost like I'm wrapping the entire thing in foil. Just like that. Then another on top. And we're ready to go back into the smoker. All right, guys, so we have our pork butt in here and it's just about done. I ran the pit at the low setting for about 3 hours to get the smoke like I was telling you. And then I cooked the butt. I bumped my temperature up to 250, and so I'd say in total I had right about 8 to 10 hours on the butt here. I just ran it all night, so I don't know exactly how many hours it was, so I think about 10 hours. But I moved the pit up, and then once I did it, I checked my internal temperature, and my internal temperature with my digital thermometer was 195 in the deep part of the butt, and on the money muscle part, it was 200. So those are the places what we're looking to get is, you know, 195 in the big part of the butt and 200 in the money muscle. So we'll pull this out and have a good look at what it looks like. And there we have it. That's our done pork butt. As you can see, we have the money muscle here ready to be sliced. It's nice and tender, and we're gonna baste this some and get it ready for the pork box. All right, so we just pulled our pork butt out of the pit here, and so I'm going to come over here and I've got my leftover injection that I had left from earlier, and I mixed up a barbecue sauce here. Now, there's plenty of debate on barbecue sauce on what you want to do, but I could tell you a good recipe that's a good general rule of thumb is get whatever your favorite one is and use just probably about an 18 ounce of regular, an 18 ounce of the sweet or spicy that they have, and then 1 cup of honey. So that's what I have here is I just have a basic barbecue competition sauce, which is a sweet sauce, a spicy sauce with a cup of honey added to it. I have my injection that I had here. I'm going to go into this pork butt here, and I'm going to get some of the pork au jus. So this is all the goodness that we put in before we wrapped. It's all left in there. And I'm going to add to my injection some of the pork au jus. And I'd say 2 cups of pork injection to about 3 cups of injection. And then this sauce that I have, I'm going to add about the same amount, about 3 cups of sauce. So what I have here is I have my barbecue sauce, which is the sweet. I have the meat of the pork here, the juice that came out of the pork, so we're going to have the pork flavor added. And then we have the injection, because we want the judge to be able to taste all parts of this pork butt. We want them to taste the injection, we want them to taste the meat, we want them to be able to taste all the rubs and spices that are on there. So I've got this in here. We'll mix it up and warm it up to hot, and then we'll show you how to finish. So while we're warming our sauce mixture with the pork au jus, the injection, and then the pork sauce, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of this leftover pork sauce, and I'm going to baste this money muscle here. So I'm going to try to get all this pork on here with a nice coating of sauce. You can see this has just a great bark. And it didn't require a whole lot of rub to do that. That's mainly meat that's in there, and just a little bit of the seasonings. So I'm going to put a nice little coat of this sauce on there. It's going to make it shine like a new penny. And that's what you want to do, because one of the things about competition is appearance matters. And a judge is going to eat with their eyes before they taste it. So if you have an appealing piece, you're already going to have an advantage over your competitors that are just throwing a box together. So I've added my sauce here, and I'm going to get just a little bit of rub here and just sprinkle towards the top again. That's just the finishing dust of the rub. And then it'll go back in the pit for about 10 minutes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dustin Gay. I'm a local orthopedic surgeon with Houston Clinic Orthopedics, and we'd really like to invite everybody to come out to our new office facility to take a look at it. It's a larger space with physical therapy, and we're just excited to have it, and we'd love for people to come out and visit us.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin.
Count on the #1 realty company in Dublin and Lawrence County when you're looking to buy or sell a home or land. All of our agents, including Brian Howell, Charlene Lamb, Adam White, David Deves, Jennifer Bradley, Mark Bateman, Kim Thompson, Pamela Lee, Edie Webb, Jay Brantley, Jim Jarrett, Raina Duverly, Yvonne Robertson, and broker George Dirt are ready to serve you today for all your commercial, residential, or rental property. Call 478-272-1535 or stop by 1700 Veterans Boulevard in Dublin, or just log on to c21dublin.com and you'll be dealing with the #1 realty company in Dublin and Lawrence County, Century 21.
We've had our pork back in there. The glaze is set, and so we're going to go ahead and grab this out. Okay, a little hot. Grab this out and go put it back in a cutting board, and we're going to go finish up and finish this pork right here at the cutting board. Now we have our heated up injection pork and au jus mix right here, sauce au jus mix. I'm going to come through here, and I'm going to cut the money muscle off now. It is so tender. Just go straight across right here, and we're going to pull this guy out of there. and have a look. We're going to try to get whatever pieces of fat we can off of the top of it here. And then we'll get ready to slice. One thing I have here is I have like an insert to my pot. I want to slice these pieces, and I'm going to put them into this mixture so they can be soaking. So we have this money mussel medallion. If you can look, you can see that the smoke got into that, and you can see how juicy that pork butt is. That's from that brine injection that we had, and that helped the butt to maintain the moisture that we were looking for. And so I'm gonna slice these, probably, you know, depending on how tender it is, about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch thick. And one of the tricks of the trade is if you have a pork butt that is a little underdone, like it's not quite as tender as you want, slice it thinner, because there's not as much there, and it will help it be, you know, be better. It'll pull apart a little easier. And if you have one that's too tender, you cut the slices a little bit bigger, and that's going to help you to kind of work with what you have to still put a box in, because there's no way to get it done quickly, so you have to really get yourself in there and work with what you have. Man, this is going to be really good. Now, sometimes if you see the pork butts pulling apart like it is right here, what you can do is, if you have an electric knife, you can go and cut that. But if I can, I always try to use just a regular knife to do it, because it makes a cleaner look on your money mussels when you're doing it, whenever you put it in the box, and it doesn't have as jagged of a look. So I'm definitely, this pork butt is cutting good. There's a couple pieces pulling off, but well, like that. But that's okay, because I've already got the pieces that I need in there. So I'm going to go through these pieces here, and I'm going to look for any pieces of fat that are like big chunks to get out. I don't want to turn that in. The last thing I want to do is to have a pork butt I've spent all this time on, and the judge eat a big glob of fat and then to mark me down on that. So I want to definitely go through here and clean it up the best that I can. And sometimes there's extra little pieces of the butt that go there. Save them, because you can put those in the box too. They'll be like little little bites of the most delicious part of the butt to put in there. So I'm going to go through here. We have another there. And I'm just kind of feeling with my fingers. I can feel where it's fatty, and, you know, I don't want to put any of that in there. Don't want to be judged on fat. And you can see it's a nice medallion, and look how juicy all the way through that butt. It really took the injection well. It did a good job with that, so I feel like we have a pretty good piece right here. And again, some of you guys, you love the fat, the fat's the flavor. I understand that. We're not cooking this for ourselves. We're trying to cook this for a judge, and we want to make sure that the judge is going to find it appealing to what we're doing. And depending on the sanctioning body that you're doing, usually a good rule of thumb is 6 pieces go in the box. So you want to make sure, most competitions are going to have 6 judges sitting per table. You want to make sure that every judge is going to have a piece of that delicious meat to go in there. And here, just some of the fat pieces you can't get. And these are all good pieces. They have bark on them. Definitely have the injection in there. That's what we're going for here. And I'll try to, once I get them here, I want to put these in kind of this way. And this sauce is hot. So what we're doing is we're buying ourselves time here to build our box, and we're keeping that meat hot while we're going to get to it. So I've got all my pieces stuffed in there. I'm going to bring my pork butt over this way and turn it upside down here. Now that I got all that money muscle cut out of there and it's soaking in my sauce here, an injection, I'm going to go grab these pieces of the bacon that I got earlier. And so this will all be nice and tender. I'm going to pull that off, and it has some rub left on it, but I'm going to put all these pieces into my mixture here because they are going to help with the pulled pork part that I'm going to put in there. So we're going to try to add all different types of cuts into the box. We want to give the judges a selection of every part of that butt, and what it does is it shows them that we cook the butt to perfection and we can use all different pieces. We don't have to just put money muscle in there. We're going to put all other parts as well. So one way that I like to do this is I'll get in here and slide the rest of this fat cap off, and it exposes a piece of the meat that we call the tubes. And so see if we can get them out of here. Here we go. And so there's just little tube meat. It's about the plug the size of your thumb, and these are really good pieces to make your pork, pulled pork out of. And I always like to just squeeze them just a little bit before I drop them into my au jus here. And again, we're just trying to pull off as much of the fat as we can as we go. It's all going to be really good. And the last part that I'm going to do is this horn meat that I told you about, right around that bone. We are going to move this here. We are going to try to get all this out from right close to that bone. And this is what we're going to use as our base. You see how tender that is? It kind of just falls out of there. This is all really delicious meat, and we hit it with our injection really good. And so that is going to be a great place to get started for the base of our box. Very tender. So the rest of this right here we're going to put away. We're not going to use that. And so what I like to do is once I've gotten through here and kind of felt away and got the big fat chunks out that are in there. That's one thing you're not wanting to put in that box is fat. My wife had to Dion had to beat that into my head because I always thought it was just way better, but she knew that a judge is not going to really enjoy that. So now that I have this, I'm going to pull this with my fingers. It's nice and tender. It's full of injection, full of the flavor here. This is going to be the bed that we start building this box on. And so what I'm going to do is grab my sauce and just put a little bit on there. I'm not trying to overpower it because you can't. There is a such thing as too much, but I want to get all those flavors of the sauce, the injection, all of it back into this because I want everything to taste great and every piece that they have to be really good. So once I've got that, I'm going to season it again. So We've got our rub here, we've got our injection, we've got our sauce, all those flavors mixed together. Those judges are going to be able to taste that, and they're really going to enjoy the flavor that it gives.
Hi, I'm Tom Dominy. Here at Dublin Wind Nelson, we pride ourselves on providing the industry's highest quality products at the most competitive pricing. We are a full-service wholesaler specializing in plumbing, irrigation, and industrial products. With a staff that collectively offers more than 50 years of expertise, our team knows your industry, and we can answer your questions and help you get the parts and equipment you need. From mowing to Renee, we carry the plumbing, irrigation, and industrial products you need from the brands you trust. We also carry a great lineup of Milwaukee tools. At Dublin Wind Nelson, our goal is the long-term success of your business. We achieve that goal with a simple commitment, doing things right, one customer at a time. If you have a question, or if you're looking for a hard-to-find part, give us a call. Our experts are ready to help. Order online, give us a call, or come by at 507 Airport Road in Dublin. We're committed to building long-term relationships with our customers by earning your business every day.
Quality products and installation since 1985. That's 4 seasons.
Now that we have our pork pulled here, I'm going to grab this up and put it in the bottom of my box here. And so I'm going to spread it evenly, but I want to put a little bit more towards the back because I'm trying to make a display for, let's see here, a display for my money muscles to come up. So what I'm going to do is pull all my meats out of here, and that's where I'm going to start with. So we have some good chunks there, some going to try to get all these out of here without them falling apart. Usually for one pork box, I usually try to do about 3 butts, but being as though I'm kind of working with just 1 or 2 here, this is what we got. So we're going to put this up, and we are going to put these medallions of money muscle right here across the back. We're going to display these nice and proud, and we want to make sure that the judges, when they see that, they think, oh my goodness, they sure were proud of that box. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So we got our 6 pieces of money muscle there. I'm going to pull that off. Okay. Then we have our tubes here. With the tube meat, I like to just pull them apart like this a lot. Let's see what we got. And you know, this makes a nice pulled pork right here. And so it's kind of stringy. I'm going to get my pieces of bacon that I had here. I'm going to pull those apart and mix it with it. And try to make sure we have ourselves a nice bit of pulled pork here. save our chunks there. We got some chunks. So, again, what I like to do is get this ready. Lincoln, will you grab my sauce, please? My rub. I am going to bring our rub over, season that a bit. And then put a little bit of our mixture here on those. And this is going to be our pulled pork section. And so you want to make sure you don't do it too much, because you can turn it into mush with it being, if it's done right, it's going to be tender, and you want to make sure that you don't mush it up, because the last thing you want is mushy barbecue too. But I'm going to grab this here and make a pulled pork section there. One thing I don't want to do is put too much, which I got a little much in here. I'm going to pull it out. We don't want to cover our money muscle up. Okay? Then chunks that we have left. I'm just going to kind of grab these end pieces of the money muscle, the little pieces that had the fat around the outside, and I'm going to just pull little chunks here and put that in the box. I want to make sure that if I can, I've got a good amount of bark in that, because you want the judges to taste that seasoning. And you're just looking here trying to, like I said, get all that fat out of it. Oh, that's tender. Let's see. Okay. I think I've got enough good bark pieces in there. So now what I'll do is kind of just look it over, and I see that my money muscles have laid down, but that's all right. We're going to look at it here, and we are going to just try to line it back up as good as we can. A little bit of seasoning on the top. And then come back and brush it with our mixture. And the last thing that you do is clean up your box. Now this is very important. I'm kind of quickly running through it because we're short on time, but you want to neaten this up and get it as good as you can. And here is a competition pork box. Regular ingredients you can get just in town.